All right. So, welcome and thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to be doing this work with you. Before we get started, for those of you who come and watch the replay, we'll just start with a bit of housekeeping. So, just making sure that you have some water, you have a journal or a workbook that you can take some notes in and you can do some writing in. And if you, for those of you coming in and watching the recording, if you haven't yet had a chance to go through the pre-class materials by yourself and carve out some time to do that after watching this, because there's a lot more depth when you allow yourself to just deepen into it as far as you are willing to. Willingness is a big thing. But the way that I like to teach is very much in a way that we are interacting with what we're learning. We're able to give it some substance and we're able to associate it with real life experience so that it's not just something that's coming in and clouding the brain, clouding all of that cranial information that you've probably already been cramming in there for lifetimes. So inside of this space today, we're going to be, we'll touch on each of the modules inside of the pre-work, but most of it is going to be engaged activity. So even if you are watching the recording where there are activities that the space is being held for you to share, do that in your journal, because it's part of extracting your sacred service, which is why ultimately we are here. Now, I am so passionate about this topic, about being in sacred service, because it is something that is unique for each of us. Our sacred service, which we are going to really explore today, is the medicine that we have always used from within us. It is innate within us, and how we have even unconsciously been serving ourselves. And so when we are beginning to reframe how we see that, how we see our service, how we see our medicine, then we are able to find our feet in it and find how it is that we can be of service with it. So before we go any further, let's come into the space. Let's prime ourselves of vessels of cosmic intelligence by tuning into the space of our heart. Now, some of you in this space may be familiar with this practice. Some of those who are new may not, but I hold this space, I've primed this container that this experience will be just what it needs to be for you. All right, so if it is safe for you to do so, I invite you to close down your eyes and just begin to deepen your breath. Breathing in through the nose, drawing that breath down into your belly, feeling your whole entire being open as you hold your breath at the top of the inhale. Noticing any tension being stored in your body, and letting it all go out through the mouth with an audible sigh. Taking in another deep breath now. Feeling your breath swirling around you, creating space for you to connect in with your cosmic intelligence. Exhaling out through the mouth with an audible sigh, feeling yourself anchoring into this moment. And taking in one more deep breath. Feeling that breath moving down your whole body, opening, cleansing, grounding you. And as you exhale now, feel your whole being dissolving into this moment. It is safe to be here. The world outside is packed away just for these next few moments. Bring 2 fingers or the palm of your hand to the center of your chest. Noticing how the instant you place your physical touch here, you feel this activation from the space of your heart. And I invite you to imagine a spark of light, a at the center of your chest. And as you breathe into this center, feel that breath radiating out so that it fills your entire physical body. And still this light expands easily and gracefully, moving out through all layers of consciousness so that it fills the entire space in which you sit. And still the light of your heart continues to grow so that it fills your entire home, your entire street, suburb, region, state. The light of your consciousness bathing your entire state. And still this light continues to grow effortlessly outwards until it encircles your whole country and all those bathed by the light of your consciousness. And still this light expands from you effortlessly, rippling out into the field until it encircles the entire globe. The light of your heart's consciousness encircling the entire planet. And from this space, we invite this light to stretch out even further into the galaxy of our multiverse. And from this space, we all are connected, whole and one. And for those of you here live or watching the replay, by us doing this work of expanding the electromagnetic field of our heart, we magnify the potency of this work. And from this space, we set an intention. Let it be that by gathering here today, we uncover our sacred service with ease and grace. Let it pour out of our heart effortlessly, making it known to us that it has always been known to us. And in the process of our work together, may it be that we exit this space standing in our power, owning the unique and creative genius that we are, embodied by our sacred service. And so it is. And it is so. Gently lowering down your hand to your lap now. Bring some gentle movement back to your body. And when you are ready, blink open your eyes. So, sacred service, I want to open up this space by asking each of you what that means to you. From wherever you are at, there is no right or wrong. This is your space to workshop whatever is downloading and emerging from the space of your heart in relation to your sacred service. And so, yes, thanks, Rex.
So where did I come out? Is that what you want to know?
What does, when you consider sacred service, what is it that comes to mind for you?
What part of our purpose, like the service that we can create, but using the purpose of why we came to Earth, why we're here now. Yeah, so using our innate goodness in amongst, like, intertwined into a service. That's kind of how I understood it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. And I do want to mention, I should have said that before, this is absolutely a safe space. So, you know, it might be uncomfortable. And I think, especially not knowing each other, there's a lot that we can gain from putting ourselves out there and being uncomfortable in this space. So I'm holding this container so fiercely, ramping up the discomfort as much as I can for the purpose of really scaffolding you inside of this space. So thank you. Thank you.
So sacred service to me, the first thing that just comes to mind is guided by the divine. So I'm a yoga teacher, but it's not just like getting people into physical poses. It's like, if the divine wants me to sing in class, I'm gonna sing in class. Like, that's what I've been starting to do, and just following that impulse. That it's like following the inner impulse to me, rather than so being internally directed rather than externally influenced is how I see sacred service, is following my inner impulse rather than what's expected of me as a yoga teacher or whatever, and just following what wants to emanate through.
I love that. That is beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. That is our sacred service. It is when we are attuning to our heart and what makes us sing, and then sharing that. There is this, it's moving beyond what exists within us, and keeping it just for us, and then moving into a place of service with it and sharing that with the world. Sharing that, and the world might be just the family, or it might be whatever the community or the network of people that you are yearning to be of service for. They are your world. They are those who you are coming into being sacred service for. So thank you for sharing that. Now, what inside of the pre-classes, we especially relating to sacred service, what we discussed was the opposite of that, because sometimes it might feel hard for us to connect with sacred service, especially if this is language that you're not used to. And so what we're really differentiating from is being in roles of service that are not in alignment. And we've all experienced those, right? We've all experienced being inside of environments, whether it's been a job, whether it's been working in corporate, perhaps it's inside of roles in the family network where you are serving out of alignment with your heart. And the experiences of that are from what I've seen for myself and from my clients, has been a physical, mental, and spiritual disruption. You experience illness, you experience fatigue. Like, I remember when I was going to a job that was out of alignment with my heart, every single day I'd be getting up ready for work and I was just exhausted. Even if I had a full night's sleep, like just going to that job bled me dry. So what I want to open up the space for now is for you to share experiences where you know that you were serving out of alignment, whether that was in a job or a family role, whatever it looks like for you. And for those of you watching the recording, this is where you can flesh that out some more in your journal.
So for me, two things come up. So in like my family growing up, they called me the glue of the family, because I don't like confrontation. I like things being balanced, priestess life. I like it, like, I don't like confrontation. I don't like things being clunky. I'm like, no, we all need to get along and love each other. So I was being the glue for my family, and that was very detrimental to me, and really big growing up and maturing from the child into an adult of like, you know what, motherfuckers, you need to go and deal with your own shit, and I'm not going to be this happy, bright thing for you guys to be in the middle of you all, like to keep you guys feeling like things are okay. Things are not okay, and y'all need to fucking sort it out on your own and not be using me as like your buffer or something, because it was not a good time. And then the other thing that came to mind was so I did 5.5 years. This was like my corporate working up the ladder thing. I did work experience at a restaurant, got a job there in the restaurant, then worked in reception, did functions coordinating, then was like the freaking admin boss lady, and then the personal assistant of the manager, and then was helping him run 2 motels. And it was just like a lot of pressure and stuff. And the more responsibility I had, the more coping mechanisms I needed to be able to actually get me to work. Like, I was having so much, I I was really struggling. So like, yeah, things were deeply out of alignment because it was deeply stressful and not like my vibe. I'm like under the man kind of thing. And it was not my thing. And yeah, got myself out of that and into yoga and whatever. So yeah, they're the two things that came up for me with that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, you totally described what happens when we are serving out of alignment. Thank you. How about you, Bex?
For me, there was like on the personal side, just finding myself in groups of people who who I was completely out of line with. So ending up in lots of circles around drugs and alcohol, and having friendships that were really unbalanced and out of alignment. And I was a hairdresser for 16 years as well. And looking back and I now know from what I know now, a lot of it was energetically draining, touching all these heads, all day long. And I didn't really choose those clients. Like there was no conscious choices made around who I was touching and who I was letting into my energetic space. So there was quite a lot of out of alignment there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I totally, I feel for every hairdresser I've ever been to, because I know I go there to dump too. And now I do my own hair, so I just dump on myself, which, I've got a pretty good medicine dose that I can serve myself with. So what we're really uncovering here is real tangible ways that we know when we are out of alignment. But what's then the challenge for us, because we are very familiar with what's out of alignment, not that we are always conscious of it at the time or conscious enough to actually make a better informed choice. What I've noticed is that it's actually so much harder for people to know what it is that their heart does align to. That process is like, we can all bring out these experiences of being out of alignment, but it's not necessarily that easy to do the same in the reverse, like bringing to mind all of the times that we've been in alignment. And a lot of that, in fact, all of it, is because of our limiting programs. Now, the limiting programs are what I refer to as belief systems, as fears, but because I've come to really see us as computers, I really think programs, it really fits the mold of the way that I see our nature. So limiting programs, these are what we have adopted. We adopted them, especially being born in a time where there is mass fear. Fear is the norm. These programs are normal to us, and we learn them through family. We learn them through schools. We learn them through religions, if you are raised in a religious setting. We learn them through social media. We learn them through, all forms of media, the government. These programs are so strongly hardwired into us that when it comes to asking a question, so list to me all of the times you knew you were in alignment, you hit a block because you're like, that's just, there's so many things in the way of you really being able to bring that out and recognize it the instant that it's provoked from you. And so these programs are the one thing that stand in our way of being able to own our sacred service. These are the things that limit us from being able to know exactly what it is that we are aligned with, that our heart is aligned to. And so our role is to do the deep work of deep faith, to identify what these programs are, and then deconfigure them to then reconfigure them. So what we're going to do, and I will, I'll be guiding you through this process. We're going to be doing some intuitive intelligence tapping, but I'm conscious that there are some people in this space who might not know exactly what this is. So we will go through that, but I just want you to consider that the way that these programs are already alive and functioning in you, because we aren't educated to know what these are. We aren't educated to know that we have these faulty programs running within us. So some of the ways that we are actioning these subconscious programs or these limiting programs is in the thoughts that we tell us when we consider the environment that we're in. So say, for example, we are in a place of misalignment. We're not doing the thing that makes our heart sings. And so when we are there, instead of looking inside of us to see what the programs are that are running that, we're looking for all of the excuses outside of us. We're looking to the external experiences. We're looking at the environment and we're pointing all of the fingers. Oh, it's that. I don't have enough money. My children get in my way. I've got a domineering partner who his needs must come first. All of these different programs, and there's endless amounts of them because that is the nature of reality as we know it. They are programs that ultimately keep us in a place of misalignment until we do the work and we go and find them and we break that fuse, or we pull that fuse out and we place in a new one that aligns with our heart. But we can't fully know what that alignment is until we uncover these beliefs. So the practice that I'm going to be introducing to you today is called intuitive intelligence tapping. Now, tapping has been an absolute potent way to work with fear. It is a process of using using ancient Chinese medicine, where we are using points on the meridian lines, meridian points, for you to be able to shift and clear energy, because that ultimately is what these limiting programs are. When we are beginning to understand our innate nature, which is what I teach my students, is that we are all energy. We are all infinite consciousness. But the way that fear or these limiting programs sit inside of our whole entire being is as subatomic knots, much like a physical knot. You go to see a masseuse to work out the tension and the knots that you have in your body. These subatomic knots, they are our limiting programs. And when we place a light on them, when we shine a light on them, that allows us to then dissolve and massage these subatomic knots. And when we use when we tap on particular meridian points, we accelerate the dissolving process. We accelerate that energy being stored as a knot and move it back into flow, back into balance. So for those of you who are new to tapping, I'll just run through the different points that we use. We have the top of the head point. You just gently tap on the top of your head. We have the eyebrow point, which is just between the bridge of your nose. You can feel like this little dent in here. And then we have the side of eye. We have the under eye point. We have the under nose point. We have the chin. And we have the collarbone point, which is just about a centimetre below the knobby bit on your collarbone. There is the thymus point. You can't see me here, but we've got the thymus. And the underarm, which is about where the bra level sits. Now, there are also some really good points to use. These are probably the ones that I use the most because they are quite discreet, so I can do them at any point in time. You just tap on the sides of your fingernails. Now, the statement that we use when we are tapping out our programs is, I now release all of my emotional attachments to, and then we state that particular program. And this, inside of how I teach my students, there is a process that we use to familiarize ourselves. But for the purpose of really introducing this to you here today, what we're going to do is I'm going to intuit the fears that are ready to be tapped out. And now, what we can understand and learn about fear is that because of our universal nature, which is another huge teaching element inside of this program, Magnify Initiation, all fear is one with fear, if that is what we are taught inside of the cosmic laws that govern our reality. And so when we clear these fears today, even if they don't entirely resonate for you, they will still be moving through you. Now, we don't have the time to fully go into that today, and it's something that really does require a solid amount of time for us to really deepen into that. But allow yourself to move with this practice and allow this practice to move within you. Okay, so begin tapping on the crown of your head now, and you have the creative authority to tap wherever you feel guided. And if this is a new experience for you, for those of you watching the recording, simply tap on the side of your hand. That will be you can stay there. It will still be just as effective. And I will guide you to repeat after me the framing statement and the limiting program. So taking in a deep breath and letting it go as we do this deep work of deep faith to excavate and deconfigure these programs from our subtle anatomy. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this idea that I do not know what it feels like to be in alignment with my heart. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear that I cannot be in alignment with my sacred service. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this idea that it is just too much. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear that being in sacred service means that I will have to be seen. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear of being seen. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear that I will fail. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear of being rejected. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear of looking like a fool. I now release all of my emotional attachments to this fear that I cannot trust myself. Taking in a deep breath and gently lowering down your hands to your lap. Saw some yawns there. That's always a good sign that some energy is moving. So this is a part of the medicine that I use every single day. Not leaving it up to chance that my limiting programs are going to clear themselves on their own. And this is part of being in sacred service, which is what leads me now into your service is your medicine. Your service is what you do to be in alignment. That's the medicine. It's not something that you need to access or do outside of you. And there are so many different ways that we can bring ourselves into alignment, but that's the medicine. And when you are taking a dose of your own medicine, when you are using, doing the deep work of deep faith by meeting those limiting programs, you are in service. And that is the work. That is the work that you are able to, that you use as a tool to prime yourself as a vessel of your sacred service. And from that, what we are beginning to do is clearing a space for that alignment to begin to move through you, to begin to shine through you, and to begin for you to be able to begin to become that. So what I want to open us into now is this, is how this is innate within us. It's not anything new, but because of the programs that up until today we perhaps didn't know about, we may not have been able to recognize the ways that we have always been in service to us. Now, for me, as a child, I was always using my creativity. I was always using my creative expression as a way for me to move those programs without even knowing that I was doing it. I had no idea. I was just channeling, without knowing that I was channeling some really dark and heavy shit. Because when I didn't, I was suicidal and I needed to get this stuff out. And the only way that I knew how to get it out, other than causing harm to myself, was to use my creative expression. I would write a lot. I wrote so many dark and disturbing stories. I wish I still had them, because my goodness, there was some stuff that came out. And for a young girl, it's just like, whoa, you okay, girl? But it was medicine. It was such potent medicine for me to get that out instead of inflicting harm on myself. And it was innate. I didn't know. Nobody taught me that. I just knew. I just did it. I used my creative expression through writing. I used it through dancing. Dancing was such a big part of my life. I even remember being as young as like 4, and I would just go into other worlds through my body, through movement out in the garden. And it was just so innate. And I can't even pinpoint the time that stopped. Just one day it wasn't there anymore, and it took me to do some really deep work on myself to realize that I had fallen away from my medicine. I didn't even know what it was anymore until one day I decided to dance again, and I'm like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? But our innate nature to serve ourselves with these such, we don't consider them special because we think everybody does them. So when we go in and revisit those ways that we did that for ourselves, we're like, oh my God, yes. And we then are opening ourselves to remember all of the ways that served us. So what we're going to do for this practice is we're going to take a little journey, and we are going to go within to that little girl who knew exactly what she needed. And there, she may be locked away. She may be somewhere that is in deep hiding right now. So I just want you to know that you are very, very safe to go and meet her. And we are going to discover, perhaps for the first time at this stage in your life, what the medicine is that you have always been drawing in from. So gently closing down your eyes again. And just taking a couple of breaths in your own time to anchor. And if there are any limiting programs beginning to surface that you cannot do this, I invite you to gently tap on the side of your hand for this practice. And imagine now that there is a door before you. Notice the size, the color, and the shape of the door. And I invite you to knock on this door and see it opening before you effortlessly. And you find yourself standing at the top of a stairway leading down into the darkness. You feel no fear, knowing that you are completely guided. You make your way down the stairs, down, down, down to the darkness. until you find yourself at the bottom of the stairs in this space of blackness and this emptiness. It feels welcoming, spacious, and inviting. And you take a step forward, feeling the satisfying crunch of the dirt beneath your feet. And you find a pathway emerging before you. And to the side of you on the floor is a small candle which you pick up. And as you hold it in both hands and extend it forward, it illuminates a pathway. And as you walk upon this pathway, you can feel your surroundings changing. And there is a sense of familiarity to the space that your heart is guiding. And there is another doorway before you, and this one is locked. And so you place your hand over your heart to retrieve the key, unlocking the door to find yourself as the young girl. Noticing now what age you have found yourself. Notice how she has presented herself to you. Inside of this space of darkness, illuminated under the light of your candle, she looks up at you and smiles. And you ask her, to reveal to you how it is that she has remained so innocent, even while surrounded by darkness, even while being locked away in this emptiness. How is it that she has been able to remain pure? Notice if she is taking you to any memories that you can consciously recall, and the ways of which you were able to sustain yourself, even if it was just for a fleeting moment. I invite you to ask her when she was locked away, at what age and whom was it that put her in this space of emptiness and darkness and hid her from you. And just know that by placing your attention here and receiving from your cosmic intelligence in the way that you are shifting timelines. in a radical, gracious, and compassionate way. And so I invite you now to see this beautiful version of you, so innocent, so pure, so powerful, so innate within you, transform before you as a chalice. And inside of it, a golden elixir that was made just for you, by you. And take up this chalice in your hands and drink from this cup, feeling your innocence and purity and potency moving down through your body. The remembrance of who you truly are in this moment. The only medicine you will ever need. You make your way back towards the stairs and find another doorway before you. And you open it, walking through it, finding yourself back opposite me. And we support the integration of this medicine with integrated breath. Follow my instructions carefully. Taking in a deep breath, filling your belly as much as possible, holding at the top. Letting it all go out through the mouth with an audible sigh and holding at the bottom of the exhale. Hold. Drawing in a breath and allowing your breath to return to its own natural rhythm. Bring some gentle movement back to your body, and when you are ready, blink open your eyes. So your service is not only your medicine. Your medicine is your service. And the way that it is your service is by your sharing it. We've all experienced transformation in our lives. And so when we are able to really see that transformation, and when we have that yearning to serve with our transformation, then we are being ushered into sharing it. So what we're going to do is allow each of you a moment to do just that, and sharing with us the medicine of your heart that you just drank from this beautiful chalice. Whenever you are ready, and if you need to, drink some water as well.
That was interesting. I just felt so much peace when I drank that beautiful chalice. And it was really not what I was expecting either. She walked me down this pathway, this sandy pathway, and we were at the beach, and she was just lying in the sand, like making sand angels, just so connected to the earth and just completely earthed.
Yeah.
And then I went to a memory in our back garden where I was just completely lost in the nature. And then it took me to all these potions I used to make, picking leaves and making potions, which just brought me so much joy thinking about it. I don't make any sort of potions in the work that I do, but I thought that that was really gorgeous. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. I have so many like explosions of ways that you can create a service with that. But that's for another day. How about you, beautiful Queenie?
That was really beautiful. So I was going down this beautiful like little fairy path in the forest. There was like stepping stones and stuff, but off the path was like this hidden thing, and that's where the locked door was. That's where I was only 2 to 3 years old. I was a little toddler, a little bit younger than my son, running around naked butt here. But she was like, even though she was locked in this dark room, it was gloomy and dark and shit, but like she was still doing her own little fucking thing, popping around. And when we asked like, how do you remain innocent, like how you been surviving in this darkness, and she just showed me like in the cracks of the walls and stuff, nature always prevails. There's these little bits of like sprouts coming through the walls and everything. And she's like, I just talk to the plants. I just connect with my mother nature, because it was my mother that locked me away. That part of me got locked away so she didn't have to deal with what was happening to me. But I just survived. I survived by connecting to mother nature. My physical mother is not my mum. Mother nature is what nourishes me. Yeah. And that's how I heal my mother wounding and stuff.
Oh.
So it was really, yeah, it's really, really beautiful, really cute to see my cute little self.
Oh my God, thank you for letting us see her too. So adorable. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing your medicine. So, you know, what we've just done today, right? We've fully embodied this. We've fully embodied the sacred service that you are. And that might look different day to day. We don't know unless we do the work. We don't know unless we go in and meet those programs. We don't know unless we give ourselves a sip of our own service or our own medicine and then share it. Because I don't know about you, but while each of you was sharing, I was feeling it. I was feeling that medicine being activated from you and being moved through me. And that's what happens. That's what happens when we give ourselves over to the transformation of what we're here to do, right? We're all, that's innate. That's Mother Nature. She's always transforming. She's always evolving. And that is what we are doing as a part of that, the microcosm within the macrocosm. And when we are sharing that, the macrocosm experiences that, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful alchemy that occurs. And ultimately, what we're doing when we take our own medicine, we are taking vibrational medicine. Our service is a vibrational medicine, whether that be connecting in with the earth, whether that be finding all of the ways that nature prevails. That medicine is the vibration that we are stepping into when we take it. What we learn inside of Magnify Initiation is that we are all vibration. And a lot of what we've covered here today, while we haven't been able to go deeply into it, is we learn the science, we learn the cosmic laws, we learn about how it is that we are all one, how it is that we are always in correspondence with our sacred service, with our cosmic intelligence, and how we're doing that because we are innately vibrational beings. So though this has been a very, very, it's seemingly a brief taste test, what I am opening you to today is an initiation with your sacred service. And the way that we can do this together is inside of this fucking powerful and incredible program, Magnify Initiation. Now it's actually 2 for 1. And Magnify, I'll talk to initiation first, because what we just scraped the surface of for initiation is in today's training is initiation. Now, initiation is a 10, 90-minute class plus 2 bonus classes where we actually do some serious workshopping on your service, on what really comes through as you do this deep work of deep faith. And that is made up of, similar to this this class, where you've got your pre-class resources and activities. We then have in-class work where we get to really hash out everything that we're learning and opening into, as well as post-class activities. Now, inside of the resources, I touched on this a little bit, but it's our reflection where we learn. It's not actually the receiving, it's the reflective process, because that's where we're like, okay, yeah, we're making sense of it. We're feeling it in our body. We're noticing how it feels inside of us. What's shifting as we engage with this information, this transfer of knowledge, and the reflection is the landing. It's making it our own. So with initiation, then we have Magnify. Now, nobody else, there are a number of women who do teach the initiation program, but nobody else offers it in a way where you get to embody it every single day. Magnify is, there are 80 plus daily practices. So for the full duration of initiation, which is, I think we do it 12 to 13 weeks. I'm adding on an extra week for this particular round. But we are, every single day, you have a daily practice to embody what we've just learned today, to embody what you learn inside of initiation. So it's this incredible theorized practice of information plus embodied practices to support you to integrate with what it is that you learn inside of that container. So the way, and that accelerates your service. I've seen it, even for myself. I received this program purely from doing this work, and I had somebody show up to me, all right, I'm struggling with this, and I'm like, well, I'm doing this if you want to join me. And then she joined me, and we're now just about stepping into the third round of it. Like this is what happens when you open yourself and say yes to doing and being in sacred service, doing the deep work of deep faith. It's born from you, like without even you realizing that it's been born from you. It's pretty incredible. So the way that we, the process, if you are interested in coming along and jumping into this next round, is by an interview process. So at the end of this call, I'll be sending out the recording, especially for those of you who are watching the recording, and it will have a booking for you to be able to apply to come in for an interview, and we can see exactly how this might play, how this can work for you, and what's possible when you come into this inside of this space. So thank you very, very, very much for being here, glorious women. I will open up the space now. If you do have any questions, let me know.
I don't have any questions, but can I just share real quick? My son just found this cute photo of me when I was about the age of what I saw. Look at my cute belly.
Is that little
Little
ponytail?
ponytail.
Yeah. Hang on, wait, let's not like that. Show us again. Oh, upside down. Oh my God. Look at your little belly. I love you, Dee.
So cute. So cute. Just want to cut on myself.
Oh, that's gorgeous. You're so gorgeous. I love you. Oh,
I've got a question. Are you saying that our medicine becomes our service somehow? Like I don't understand it entirely. Like,
Can I share?
oh, there you go.
Can I share my experience on service being in medicine? So, I'm doing, at the moment, I'm doing like a 40-day like online Facebook group where you come in for the 40 days. It's called Devour Your Addiction. And that has been like so potent for me in like moving through my shadow archetypes and how they're sabotage, like how the saboteur is coming up and blah, 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 through me trying to run this program and meant to be not doing no smoking, no alcohol, no sugar. And like my saboteur being like, oh, you can have alcohol and sugar because you're not smoking, so you're doing really well. But then I'm sharing with my people, like, look at what I'm doing to myself. Look at what I'm doing. So it's like the service becomes my medicine, and I'm sharing with my people, and they're getting the like how I'm integrating it, and they're getting a deeper understanding. Sorry about my dog barking. Does that like help a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
That was very much what happened. Exactly, like I created this because I needed this to be able to show up, to be able to, you know, to continually build a business from scratch again, doing it in an online platform. You know, there were so many things that, you know, all I knew is I had that yearning to serve, and I didn't know how I was going to do that. And by default, I was doing these practices, I was doing these things every single day. And it just naturally happened. So yeah, what I am suggesting absolutely is that is your service. Your service is your medicine. Your medicine is your service. The way it went, and it's the way that you do it, that it just happens. It just happens. I can have to teach you inside of the laws why that is, but there's a lot of teaching to go into that. But like, for example, you know, there's a bit of a disconnect with what your child has presented to you in that medicine, right? So it's the way that our cosmic intelligence works, the way that our way that this works is not literal, it is symbolic. So potions, you know, when you were saying that, I was like, oh, like there's so many different ways that your medicine of crafting potions could look. A potion could be a tapping formula. It could be you know, it could be anything that you weave into it, because it's not.
Yeah, got it. It's completely there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you for asking. It was a good question. Because, you know, it's not, and what's limiting from you from being able to see that immediately is a program that, oh, how am I going to work with potions? Like, literally, there's a program that I need to figure, you know, there's stuff there that's wanting to niggle at you. And so when you are doing this process, when you're going through this process of meeting those things that are going to seed the doubt and seed the disconnection, then, you know, they just dissolve because you've done the work to remove them. And you're like, I can make potions any way I want. I can make potions just by clicking my fingers, and that's my potion, that's my medicine. I'm whole. I am God. I am the cosmos. I am whatever it is, right? Yeah, good question. Thank you. And I'll share with you the experience of one of my current students. Like, she was going through some stuff. She's actually done this, the program twice now. She did the program first when it was just Magnify, and she came along again to do it with Initiation. And when she first came into it, she was experiencing significant health problems, post-traumatic stress, going to work, and to the point that she was on leave for some time because it was just too much. And she had spent years in training to do this work. And it was something that she thought she was meant to do. Like, she worked in aged care. And, you know, culturally, that is something that she just felt that she was born to do, because that's the way that her culture cares for the elderly. And so the burnout, the misalignment of being inside of that space, it got to a point that she just couldn't see beyond it. And inside of Magnify, the first round, you know, it took a lot of work, but she then retired from that job. And that was huge. And there was this process where she didn't know what she was going to do. And we are, you know, about halfway through this round is when things just started happening. Like, she was doing, every single day she'd been painting, and she'd been creating different things with paint. And she'd been sharing it just in small, intimate groups at first. And then people were like, oh, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. And she's been selling them. And she's like, I just don't know how it's happening. Like, and because you just do it, and it just happens. Like, it's just fucking like incredible, man. I can't make this shit up.
It's just following that it's following that joy and what brings your body pleasure. It's like, oh fuck, that feels good. I'm gonna keep doing that thing. And then that's just like you just keep following the breadcrumbs step by step. We never get the whole picture of what's happening. It's just follow the breadcrumb and the next breadcrumb and down the pathway we go, step by step.
Absolutely.
Keep following the
Yeah,
steps
I
sometimes.
use the analogy of taking that sip. We receive a golden drop, and then we don't receive another golden drop until we actually sip the first one, and then it comes again, and then it comes again. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're just in it, and it's just you, and you just it's pretty incredible. So yes, thank you, gorgeous women. If you don't have any other questions, we will wrap this up now.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's such a beautiful, beautiful space having you here. Thank you for allowing me.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you have a fabulous rest of your day. Now, I will just mention as well, the way that I teach is not on the conscious level, though we did do some conscious stuff and it probably felt good consciously, but subconsciously is where we were this whole entire time. The second you said yes, we were in that subconscious realm. So with that, be gentle with yourself. We have shifted some things here today. Drink lots of water, go for walks in nature, get lost and connect in with the earth, take baths, and just be kind to yourself. Please reach out if you do have any follow-up questions over the next couple of days. I will send this recording out, as well as the link for you to book in for an interview. It has been such a fucking privilege being with you all. Oh, thank you for changing the world with me. Mwah.